What if the vast, sun-scorched heart of Australia, ancient beyond human reckoning, holds secrets far deeper than its red dust and shimmering heat haze suggest? What if the land itself, with its whispered histories carried on the hot, dry winds, remembers not just the primordial shaping by ancestral beings, but also the chilling terror they embodied, the raw, untamed forces that still stir beneath the silence? Imagine the profound solitude of the outback, where the horizon stretches infinitely. The silence is so absolute it hums, and the air shimmers with an ancient, almost palpable energy that seems to watch, to breathe, to know. Are you ready to hear tales woven from the very fabric of this continent? Narratives spun not just from human folklore, but from the deep, resonant thrum of the Earth's own memory. Stories of primordial monsters born of the dream time, of spectral figures haunting the vast emptiness, and of the land's own primal, unforgiving secrets, truths so unsettling they linger in the air like the scent of an approaching storm. Welcome to a journey into Australia's ancient fear, where the line between myth and terrifying reality blurs with every shifting dune and every echoing silence. Feel the oppressive stillness of the pre-dawn desert, the air cool but heavy with the promise of the searing day, as we delve into the heart of Aboriginal cosmology, to a time before time, when the world as we know it was sung into existence by colossal, powerful beings, whose forms shaped the rivers, carved the mountains, and instilled life into every creature. Yet, even among these creators, there existed forces of immense power that commanded not just reverence, but profound, ancient dread. Consider the serpent's coil, rainbow and the abyss, a paradox of creation and destruction, a being revered as the giver of life, responsible for rain, waterholes, and the very fertility of the land, yet equally capable of unleashing devastating floods, consuming unwary souls, and embodying a primal, chaotic power that speaks of the deep abyss from which it emerged. Imagine a creature of immense, serpentine form, its scales shimmering with all the colors of the rainbow under the rare desert rain, its body so vast it can encircle mountains, its eyes gleaming with an ancient, unknowable intelligence, reflecting the deep, dark pools where it slumbers. The sound of its movement, when it stirs, is not a mere slither, but a deep, resonant rumble that vibrates through the very earth, a sound that promises either life-giving water or cataclysmic destruction, instilling a profound, primal fear in any who dare to disrespect its sacred domain. Its presence is felt not just in the sudden downpours that quench the parched land, but in the inexplicable disappearances near sacred waterholes, in the sudden, terrifying floods that sweep away everything in their path, and in the unsettling whisper of the wind that seems to carry its ancient warnings. The rainbow serpent's power is a constant reminder that even creation has a destructive edge, a balance that must be respected or risk incurring a wrath as old and as fierce as the land itself. The lore surrounding the rainbow serpent is filled with countless variations across different Aboriginal nations, each tribe holding specific, deeply sacred knowledge about its pathways, its resting places, and the solemn protocols required to avoid its terrifying wrath, often guarded by elders who carried the weight of centuries of ancestral wisdom. Picture the sun-baked rock formations in the Kimberley, the ancient art depicting its undulating form, etched into stone walls that have stood for millennia, seeming to pulsate with the energy of the dream time, a vivid, enduring testament to its pervasive influence. One particularly chilling story speaks of a group of disrespectful young men who, ignoring the elders' warnings, dared to fish in a forbidden waterhole, a place known to be one of the serpent's deepest sleeping grounds, the air around it often still and strangely heavy, even on a windy day, with the faint, unsettling scent of stagnant water and something else, something ancient and powerful. They boasted of their catch, their laughter echoing irreverently through the sacred space, unaware that their hubris had awakened an ancient fury. The water in the hole, usually placid, began to churn violently, a deep, guttural gurgle rising from its depths, followed by a sudden, inexplicable shift in the air pressure, a feeling of immense weight pressing down upon them, as if the very atmosphere had solidified. Before they could react, a colossal head, with eyes like burning coals, emerged from the murky water, casting an impossibly long shadow over the entire camp, its roar not of a beast, but of a primordial force, a sound that shattered the silence of the bush and ripped through their very souls, freezing them in terror. The ground beneath them trembled, cracking under the immense power of the serpent's rising form, and then, with a terrifying swiftness, it coiled around them, drawing them down into the suffocating darkness of the waterhole, leaving only disturbed earth, a lingering stench of ozone, and an unearthly silence that settled once more over the now forbidden sight, a permanent, harrowing reminder of the devastating consequences of disrespecting the ancient powers that shape this vast, indifferent land. Beyond the aquatic dominion of the rainbow serpent, the sun-baked plains and dense scrubland of Australia conceal another primal terror, a creature that embodies the deep, unsettling mystery of the continent's untamed wilderness, often glimpsed only at the periphery of vision, yet leaving a profound psychological imprint on those who have encountered its elusive presence. We speak now of the bushman's phantom, the haunting elusiveness of the yowie, a legendary cryptid, Australia's answer to the Bigfoot or Sasquatch, but imbued with a distinctly ancient, almost spiritual dimension by Aboriginal lore, where it is often known by various names such as Duluga, Jimbra, or Yahoo, each name carrying a different regional flavor of dread. Imagine yourself deep in the desolate bush, miles from any sign of human habitation, the only sounds the buzzing of flies and the distant caw of a crow, the air thick with the scent of eucalyptus and dry earth. Suddenly, a strange, acrid smell permeates the air, like wet dog mixed with something unidentifiable, something wild and ancient, followed by an unnerving snapping of twigs, heavy footsteps that don't quite fit the gait of any known animal, and then a chilling, guttural howl that rips through the otherwise silent landscape, a sound that speaks of untamed savagery and profound solitude. This is the yowie, described as a large, hairy, ape-like creature, standing over 6 feet tall, with broad shoulders, powerful limbs, and often a distinctly humanoid, yet terrifyingly ancient face, its eyes glowing faintly in the dim light of dawn or dusk, reflecting an intelligence that unnerves more than any beastly fury. Countless anecdotes, passed down through generations of Aboriginal storytelling and echoed in the harrowing accounts of early European settlers and modern bushwalkers, paint a chilling mosaic of encounters with the yowie, each tale reinforcing its elusive nature and the deep-seated fear it inspires. Consider the drover, alone with his herd on a vast, star-strewn plain, the crackling of the campfire his only comfort against the overwhelming silence of the night, the air cool but utterly still. Suddenly, his dogs, usually fearless, begin to whimper, their hackles raised, their bodies pressed low to the ground, their barks replaced by terrified growls directed at an unseen presence beyond the firelight. A strange, musky scent invades the air, growing stronger, heavier, and then, from the profound darkness just beyond the flickering reach of the flames, two large, glowing eyes appear, fixed on him with an unnerving intensity, reflecting a primordial intelligence that sends a shiver of primal dread down his spine. No sound is made, yet the sheer, overwhelming presence of something colossal and unseen, lurking just at the edge of his perception, is enough to freeze him in terror, feeling as though the vast, ancient land itself has opened a window onto something that predates human comprehension. Then, as quickly as it appeared, the eyes vanish, the scent fades, and the silence returns, heavier than before, leaving the drover profoundly shaken, forever haunted by the unsettling feeling of being watched, of having brushed against a hidden ancient life form that chooses to remain forever just out of reach, guarding the deeper secrets of the bush. Such encounters leave an indelible mark, blurring the lines of reality, making one question if the vast, empty spaces of the Australian interior are truly empty, or merely populated by creatures that exist in the shadowy spaces between the known and the unknowable, their presence a constant, unsettling whisper in the heart of the wilderness. As the sun sets, casting long, distorted shadows across the desolate plains and painting the sky in fiery hues, the outback reveals another layer of its ancient fear, a terror that lurks not in the tangible brush or rocky outcrops, but beneath the deceptively placid surfaces of its myriad waterholes, rivers, and billabongs. These are not merely sources of life-sustaining water in a parched land. They are often places of immense spiritual significance, fraught with ancient taboos, and occasionally the domain of a particularly elusive and terrifying creature known as the waterhole's hunger, the elusive bunyip. Imagine standing beside a still, dark waterhole at dusk, the surface mirroring the dying light of the sky, the air thick with the buzzing of insects and the sweet, decaying smell of water lilies. Suddenly, a deep, resonant bellow, unlike any known animal, rises from the murky depths, a sound that seems to vibrate through the very ground beneath your feet, sending a shiver of profound dread down your spine, promising unseen menace. The bunyip, a creature whose exact form varies wildly across Aboriginal traditions, sometimes described as a giant starfish-like creature, or a grotesque half-mammal, half-reptile, or a massive furry beast with a long neck and flippers, always embodies the same chilling characteristic, a mysterious, predatory nature that targets humans, especially the unwary, the disrespectful, or the young. Its presence is often marked by disturbances in the water, unexplained ripples, or a sudden, profound silence amongst the usual cacophony of the bush, as if all life holds its breath in fearful anticipation. The bunyip's lore is rich with chilling tales of unexplained disappearances, of footprints found leading to the edge of a waterhole but never away, of distraught cries echoing across the water before being abruptly silenced. One particularly harrowing account tells of a small, isolated settler community in the colonial era, dependent on a large, deep billabong for their water supply, its banks overgrown with thick reeds that rustled incessantly in the wind, creating an unsettling chorus. Children, drawn to the water's edge by its cool promise on scorching days, were warned fiercely by both their parents and the local Aboriginal elders to never swim after dusk, and to always be aware of the unsettling thump-thump sound that sometimes emanated from its depths, a sound like a giant heart beating beneath the water. One sweltering afternoon, a young boy, daring and rebellious, sneaked away from his chores, venturing to the billabong alone, intent on cooling off. The air around the water felt unnervingly still, almost heavy, despite the heat, and a strange metallic smell, like stagnant water mixed with something fishy and foul, hung in the air. As he waded into the cool water, he heard it, a low, guttural moan, a sound of immense sorrow mixed with something profoundly predatory, rising from directly beneath him, vibrating through the water itself. A sudden, powerful current dragged him downwards, and his panicked screams were abruptly cut short, swallowed by the swirling water. When the community searched for him, all they found were disturbing drag marks on the muddy bank leading into the water, and the unsettling, rhythmic, thump-thump sound, echoing once more from the depths, a sound that instilled a deep, primal fear into the hearts of all who heard it, confirming the dark legend. The billabong, once a life-giver, became a place of dread, forever shrouded in a palpable sense of unseen menace, a chilling reminder that beneath the tranquil surfaces of Australia's watercourses lie ancient, hungry secrets, waiting in the murky depths to claim their next victim, their presence a persistent, unsettling whisper carried on the wind that skirts the water's edge. If the ancient entities born of the dreamtime stir a primal fear within the very landscape, then the desolate beauty of the Australian outback also holds countless stories of more recent yet equally chilling horrors, the lingering, restless spirits of those who succumbed to the land's unforgiving embrace, their tragic endings etched into the very dust and stone. We turn now to the whispering dust, echoes of the lost and the condemned, narratives of the many who vanished without a trace, explorers and prospectors swallowed by the vastness, and the tortured souls of convicts, their suffering so immense it imprinted itself upon the very earth and structures they built with their brutalized hands. Imagine the relentless, searing heat of the sun beating down on an abandoned gold mining town, the corrugated iron roofs shimmering like liquid mirages, the only sound the creak of rusty wind vanes and the ceaseless buzz of flies. The air is thick with the scent of dry earth, dust, and the faintest, almost imperceptible scent of decay, a ghostly aroma of human toil and desperate hope turned to ash. Here, in these forgotten places, where the silence is profound and overwhelming, the ghosts of the past are said to linger, not as gentle apparitions, but as palpable expressions of torment, confusion, and lingering resentment. Consider the notorious Fremantle prison in Western Australia, a colossal limestone structure that once housed thousands of convicts, a place permeated by suffering so profound that it seeped into the very stone, leaving behind an indelible stain of despair and violent acts. Walk through its echoing stone-walled cells at night, and you might feel a sudden, inexplicable drop in temperature, a chilling breeze that whispers past your ear, carrying with it the faint, almost imperceptible sound of distant, rattling chains, or a ragged, breathless groan. The smell of damp stone, sweat, and despair seems to cling to the very air, even decades after its last prisoner departed. Tales abound of specific, tormented spirits, the dark, hulking shadow of Martha Brown, the only woman ever hanged there, whose heartbroken wails are still heard near her cell, a sound of profound desolation that chills the very marrow, or the spectral presence of John Gavin, a young Aboriginal man unjustly hanged, whose desperate struggle against the noose is said to replay itself in chilling cold spots and inexplicable drafts near the execution gallows, leaving a pervasive sense of injustice and sorrow in the air. His story is a particularly poignant one, a testament to the brutal, often racist, realities of colonial justice, his anguish eternally bound to the grim structure. Further into the outback, imagine a lonely homestead, hundreds of miles from anywhere, its weathered timber creaking in the dry wind, the surrounding landscape vast and indifferent. Many such places are said to be haunted by the restless spirits of settlers who perished from thirst, snakebite, or the sheer, overwhelming isolation. Perhaps you'd feel a sudden, icy touch on your skin in a room devoid of drafts, or hear the faint, melancholic tune of an unseen piano, or even the desperate, raspy voice of a forgotten soul calling out a name, swallowed by the vast, unfeeling silence, forever seeking a comfort that never came in life. These are the spectral echoes of hardship, resilience, and ultimately, despair, a chilling reminder that the Australian landscape, for all its beauty, is also a vast, silent repository of countless human tragedies, forever breathing with the memory of those it consumed. The Australian outback, in its raw, untamed immensity, is not merely a stage for ancient horrors or historical spectres. It is, in itself, a living, breathing entity, a vast, indifferent consciousness that holds secrets far beyond human comprehension, capable of absorbing and erasing all traces of those who dare to venture too far without respect. This leads us to The Land That Remembers, Australia's primal unwritten secrets, a terrifying concept where the land itself is the antagonist, a silent, all-consuming force that bends reality, creates illusions, and guards its mysteries with a profound, almost malevolent stillness. Imagine the vast, shimmering heat haze that distorts the distant horizon, making solid ground appear to undulate like water, creating optical illusions that can disorient and mislead even the most experienced bushman. This is not merely a trick of light. It is the land subtly asserting its dominance, blurring the lines of perception, drawing the unwary deeper into its deceptive embrace. The silence out here is not empty. It is a deep, profound presence, a humming quiet that seems to listen, to watch, to absorb all sound, leaving one with the unsettling feeling of being completely alone, yet profoundly observed, the very air thick with an unspoken pressure, as if the land itself is breathing down your neck. The sheer number of inexplicable disappearances in the Australian outback is staggering, far beyond what can be attributed to simple accidents or exposure. Entire groups of skilled explorers, well-equipped and experienced, have vanished without a trace, leaving behind only tantalizing hints and unanswered questions, their stories becoming chilling parables of the land's consuming power. Consider the case of Ludwig Leichhardt, the Prussian explorer, who, with his expedition, vanished without a trace in 1848 while attempting to cross the continent, leaving behind only fragmented reports and a legacy of tantalizing, yet ultimately fruitless, search efforts. The vast, empty spaces where he was last seen seemed to hum with the lingering question of his fate, the dry creek beds and ancient rock formations holding silent witness to a mystery that has endured for centuries, the very dust seemingly absorbing all answers. Then there are the countless modern incidents where vehicles are found abandoned in the middle of nowhere, their doors ajar, personal belongings left behind, but the occupants simply gone, as if plucked from the earth by an unseen hand. Imagine the terrifying psychological state of such individuals, lost in an endless, featureless landscape, their minds slowly unraveling under the relentless sun and the overwhelming silence, perhaps succumbing to thirst, but more chillingly, perhaps succumbing to something else entirely, something ancient and hungry that the land conceals. The desperate, parched rasp of their last breaths, the frantic, disoriented cries swallowed by the vastness, are said to be carried on the occasional, inexplicable gust of wind, a mournful whisper that chills those who hear it, knowing it belongs to a soul forever lost to the land's depths. And what of the unexplained phenomena that defy conventional explanation? The countless UFO sightings reported in the remote, sparsely populated regions, often by isolated communities and Aboriginal elders who interpret them through the lens of ancient Dreamtime lore. Imagine a clear, star-filled night in the desert, the Milky Way a brilliant, luminous band across the sky, the air crisp and still, the only sound the distant call of a dingo. Suddenly, a light appears on the horizon, moving with impossible speed, making impossible turns, its silence profound, its movements utterly alien, casting strange, fleeting shadows across the ancient landscape. These are not merely lights in the sky. For many, they are manifestations of the land's deep, primal secrets, perhaps even the ancient beings of the Dreamtime taking new forms, or entities drawn to the profound energies that pulse beneath the earth, especially around sacred sites. The Aboriginal understanding of the land is not merely geographical, it is a profound spiritual connection, where every rock, every tree, every waterhole possesses a story, a consciousness, and often a powerful, protective spirit. Disrespect these sacred sites, disturb these ancient places, and the land itself is said to retaliate, not always with overt violence, but with a chilling, disorienting force that can lead the unwary to their doom. Imagine stumbling into a restricted, sacred area, feeling an inexplicable sense of dread, the air growing heavy, the colors of the landscape seeming to shift and blur, and the constant rhythmic hum of the cicadas abruptly falling silent, leaving an unnatural, oppressive stillness, as if the very air itself is holding its breath, warning you to retreat before the ancient, unseen guardians of the land stir from their slumber and claim yet another trespasser. These are the unwritten secrets, the primal truths whispered on the wind and etched into the very consciousness of a continent, a profound testament to the idea that Australia is not merely a country, but a living, breathing entity, one that remembers, one that protects, and one that, for all its dazzling beauty, holds within its silent depths an ancient, all-consuming fear that continues to haunt those who dare to listen closely enough to its profound, ancient whispers.